Welcome to another episode of Sanford Says. This is Lisa Holder. I'm the Communications Officer for the City of Sanford, and I am here with another very special guest, Dan Ping. Dan Ping, welcome.
Welcome, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
And Dan, I know you're a pillar of the Sanford community. You've been here for a long time, and you are going to be on the show talking about Ride Lime.
Yes, we are.
And so you've got a bright-colored lime shirt on, too, today, advertising your business just by being in green.
That's got to go all in with the branding.
Exactly. So, Dan, just can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I'm going to ask you a few questions that the audience will hear to get to know you a little bit better. But where are you from originally? And
I grew up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is a small town in East Tennessee outside of Knoxville. And it was a really cool place to grow up. It was part of the Manhattan Project. It was a secret city, so very, very cool place to grow up. I mean, you're talking about a town that's half the size of Sanford, about 30,000 people, has their own symphony orchestra, their own very active community playhouse, very educated community, and just a great place to grow up.
Yeah, and I do know that Allegiant flies close to your hometown.
They fly into Knoxville, yes.
Into Knoxville.
I'm going to be flying there here in just a couple of weeks. See my folks, all my folks, my parents and my brothers and sisters. They all still live up in that area.
Yeah, so when we speak of Allegiant, for those who may not be Sanfordites, that's our hometown airline at the Orlando Sanford International Airport. It's holiday season. We've had several podcasts about the airport too. So back to topic, Dan. So I'm going to ask you this: what's your go-to order at your favorite Sanford restaurant?
Oh, my go-to order would be kind of tough, but my go-to restaurant is Christo's.
Okay.
That is the first place I ever ate at in Sanford. I came down here. I was on a job interview, and the publisher of the newspaper took me there for lunch as part of the interview process. Okay. And at that time, it was called Angelo's. It was still owned by the Cranius family. They started out as Christo's, then became Angelo's, then went back to Christo's. So that place holds special sentimental place in my heart. But they also have good food, good value, and that's just my go-to place. And either the Waldorf salad or the chicken bomber sandwich are usually my go-tos.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention those desserts. If you walk in the front door, right, in refrigerated section, it's like, like these 7-layer cakes that'll blow your mind, right?
My blood sugar shoots up just walking past the case there.
Yeah, I know. They've got some great food and they're great people. Second question, what's your first concert that you ever attended?
My first concert, Van Halen. Van Halen,
Which album? What album was that?
This would have been like 82 or so. So,
what album was
really,
out? Was it 1984? Didn't they have an album 1980?
Yeah, they had 1984, but I think this was Diver Down or I'm not certain which album was out.
And that was
at that time.
Knoxville, right?
Yeah, that was in Knoxville. That was at the Civic Auditorium.
Okay.
So Van Halen, and then I later got to see Michael Jackson. He played Neyland Stadium.
Really?
Him and his brothers were on the Victory Tour in 1984.
Really?
And yes, so got seventh row right in the middle of Michael Jackson.
Very cool.
Victory Tour. Yeah, it was a cool concert.
My first concert was Rush at the Hollywood Sportatorium in South Florida. And
2120?
Yeah. So I thought I'd add that. And so yes, great bands. All right, and also, let's ask you this. One thing that people don't know about Mr. Dan Ping.
Well, only a couple of people in town know about this. So I took ballet.
Really?
I did.
Okay, I wish I had a sound effect or something for that one.
No, what? I don't look like a ballerina to you?
Elaborate,
So,
please.
It was totally against my choice. I was like in third or fourth grade, and my parents thought I needed to be a little more graceful. I guess I was kind of a bull in a china shop, still am.
Yeah.
And they decided that I needed to take ballet. And I absolutely hated every second of it. But my parents were the type that, once you start something, you have to at least do it for a year.
Yeah.
If I started like playing basketball or t-ball, I had to finish out the season.
Yeah.
Well, now, even though ballet wasn't my choice, they still made me finish out the year with ballet. And I had the leotards and the shoes, and yeah, it was...
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just...
Yes, you are. I'm laughing at me.
The story is definitely entertaining.
Hey, this is how bad it was, Lisa. There was a little girl I had a crush on in my class, and to go to ballerina class or ballet class, we had to drive by her house. And I was so embarrassed. Now, she wouldn't have known I was in the car, but I would hide. I would duck down below the window, so in case she happened to be in the front yard, she wouldn't see me in my ballet outfit.
Was it pink?
No, it was black.
Okay.
It was black. I had the black tights and the black,
When you talk about leotard in the black, I wore that. That was like in the 70s kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking
And
about.
I could not wait until that spring when ballet was over and I didn't have to do it anymore. But yes, I took ballet.
Okay. Well, everybody, you heard that first on Sanford's Head. But, I think that's great, though, that your parents made you stick with something. And because I know I tried a lot of things when I was younger, and it didn't stick to anything in those when I was a child. But I think that's great that your parents did that. And see where you ended up, because they made you stick with ballerina school or being a ballerina?
Yeah. I'm not sure what the benefit was that, except for maybe now as an adult, I know there's sometimes you just have to grind through things.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
What do they say? Builds character.
Exactly. So. There you go. So that's great. So now we know a little bit more about you, Dan Ping, when we see you driving those the Ride Lime golf cart. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which is the Ride Lime, and its benefit to the city of Sanford, and just some background about it. Speak away. Let's see.
Sure. So, actually, Ride Lime was an idea. I mean, people always say this is a great idea, and really, I just stole it from other cities. I actually, when I used to work in downtown Orlando. They had a service called O-Carts. This was back in 2006, 2007 time frame. And so I would use that from time to time, and I always thought it was a cool concept. And I thought, man, it'd be cool if we had something like that in Sanford. But at the time, Sanford just didn't have enough density of businesses and to provide this type of service.
Right.
We call it a goober, a golf cart Uber. So you call or text us, and we'll bounce you around between the restaurants, the breweries, take you home if you live within the district.
Okay.
That sort of thing. But so me and a buddy were talking about this idea, and really the catalyst was when Tuffy's Bottle Shop and Lounge opened. Mm-hmm. We were thinking, okay, that is just far enough away. If you're at, say, Sanford Brewing or Womps Hops or somewhere on Sanford Avenue, to walk to Tuffy's, it's certainly walkable.
Yeah.
Particularly when the weather's nice. But some people may want to walk, particularly women who might be wearing heels or something like that. So that was kind of the catalyst. That's why we thought, okay, now's the time to do this.
Okay, and so how long has it been in business? How long have you been?
About 20 months. We started in the end of April 2018.
And certainly business is definitely booming. And so how can people, what's the process? How can people reach you, reach the Ride Lime, and how do you recommend people contact?
So there's a couple of ways. There's the old-fashioned way you see in the movies of, people standing on the street waving you down if we happen to come by. We certainly get some of that. But also, probably the best way is just to contact us. Either call us or text us at our number. It's pretty easy, 407-500-LIME. That's 407-500-5463. And I always get this question. People will call and they'll say, hey, I want to get a ride. Well, the simple way to do it is just say, where are you, how many people you have, and where you want to go. Because oftentimes I have to obey the same rules that people in cars do. So if I'm driving and the phone rings or I get a text, I need to pull over.
Okay.
So oftentimes I may be in the middle of a ride, and I certainly don't mind answering the phone or answering a text, but I'm kind of have limited time. I can't have a conversation, with you about that sort of thing.
And so, so what are the hours that it runs?
So we're available Thursday from 5 p.m. until 11, Friday from 5 p.m. to midnight, Saturday 5 p.m. to midnight, and then when we get in season, like we are now, we operate on Saturdays and Sunday afternoons as well, and we are available during the week. But that is kind of a limited schedule. It kind of depends on what my schedule is, what the other obligations I have. Certainly, we book tours. We do a lot of tours during the week, whether it's a historical tour or a baseball tour or just an overview of the city type thing. So we do some of those during the week as well as on the weekends.
Okay. And so is there a website so people can hop on their phone and just kind of...
Yeah, we're on Facebook at Ride Lime. Ride like, ride a horse or ride a golf cart, lime like the fruit. And that's also our website address, ridelime.com.
Ridelime.com. Okay, so what is the meaning behind this lime thing? What's going on with that?
Well, it's an odd name, and that's kind of what we were looking for. We were trying to think up of something that was unique, that would stick out in people's mind, but also had a domain name available. As you know, people squat on domain names all the time. Yeah. So we were trying to look for something, and we were trying to make up words. We were trying to do all kinds of things, and we're really not that creative. And so we kind of settled that we wanted something kind of neon greenish or lime greenish.
Yeah.
That's kind of the color we were looking for. And finally, we're having this conversation at Celery City Craft over a couple of beers, and somebody said, why not Ride Lime?
Right.
And great, that sounds awesome. And we all looked on GoDaddy, and the name was available, and we're just like, great, let's go back to drinking beer now.
Yeah, that's perfect. So it's like, and I'm sure there was some limes maybe on the bar there or something that caught someone's attention.
I am not sure exactly what the genesis like. Again, other than we decided we wanted green as one of the primary colors, and out of that, at that same time, somebody came up with squeeze in. So,
cute.
Doing the pun. So that's kind of our branding, ride lime, squeeze in.
That's really cute. So speaking of squeezing in, how many can squeeze in?
It depends on which golf cart we're operating. Okay. The gas one, we can seat 5 to 6, kind of depending on the size. I jokingly say, I can fit 12 supermodels on, and if you can tell me where I can find 12 supermodels all at once, I'll be happy to give them a ride.
Right.
But 5 to 6 on the gas golf cart, and up to 9 passengers on the electric golf cart.
Okay, so you have 2 running at the same time. Okay, great. And I'm sure you have someone else in your business working with you.
Yeah, we have other drivers.
Okay, great. And so what kind of crazy things, if anything, has happened on Ride Lime? I know you've got some interesting characters that probably hop on during the evening in Sanford.
Yes, and the number one question I get, for people, especially that haven't ridden it before, is how many people have thrown up on this thing?
Oh, God,
I'm happy to report that nobody has thrown up, and that's not a challenge. I'm not putting that out there as a challenge for somebody to do that.
Okay.
And there's been some odd things. Some things I probably shouldn't say on a city-sponsored podcast. But
okay.
I've had numerous people make out on the back of it.
Okay.
As I'm driving around. In fact, we had just started the service, had only been operating for a month or so, and a couple came out. I was parked out in front of Tuffy's, and they said, hey, can we ride this? I was like, sure, where do you want to go? And they're like, we don't care. So I just thought, well, I'll just start driving them around town.
Yeah.
And about 30 seconds in, I look up in the rearview mirror, and they're just making out big time. I thought, okay, I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, see, there's a sense of promoting love in this town, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I want to be real careful about that.
Love and peace and happiness.
Sure,
Okay.
I mean, I'm all in favor of that. Just some of it doesn't need to happen on my golf cart.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of. I'm sure you could put journal of this and maybe one day a bio of everything. But
We're actually thinking about starting a podcast of
Are you?
sex, drugs, and golf carts. Some of the crazy stuff that happens on the golf
yes,
cart.
and it's only been 20 months in. I can only imagine. But all seriousness, the Ride Lime is a benefit to the city of Sanford and to our growing economy and our people, our businesses, our visitors, bringing people into town and being able to have a service of taking them from one location to another is wonderful. And so thank you so much about that, Dan. And so how do you see Ride Lime actually fitting into Sanford's growth and future?
Well, I think when we originally started this idea, our sole focus was we were just going to move people around. We didn't really have much idea beyond that. That was the original plan. But pretty quick within it, probably within a month of operating, I had a call from a lady that said, hey, I'm going on a Match.com date. The guy's never been to Sanford before. Can you give us a tour? And I was like, sure, I'll do pretty much anything for money.
Right.
And I knew enough, and she called me like an hour or two before this date was supposed to happen. So I jotted down a quick outline of some things I thought might interest them, and that kind of clicked. And it started that, okay, we can do tours with this thing too. So I think a couple of ways that Ride Lime fits into what's growing in downtown. Number one, we can still move people around, and that's kind of one of our services. But our other service is to offer, a fun historical tour of Sanford. Mm-hmm. And we do, I make a conscious effort to try to lead, tours that we get paid for, but I also try to do what I call a little guerrilla marketing for the city. Uh-huh. So say, for example, that I pick up somebody over on Sanford Avenue, and they want to go to Tuffy's. I usually, pretty much as soon as people get on the cart, I try to find out where they're from. Are they Sanford? Are they local? They live in Orlando? And if they're from out of town, I try to take them on a route that is advantageous to the city, or show them something, a little more scenic. I mean, they don't know exactly the best way to go to Tuffy's, and I don't want to take up much of their time because they're really trying to get their party on or whatever it is they're doing. So, if I pick them up on Sanford Avenue and they want to go to Tuffy's, well, rather than just go straight back down Sanford Avenue and go down 2nd or 1st, to hit Tuffy's, I weave them through the historic district. Show them some of the interesting homes. Yeah. And I've done that on more than one occasion. I pointed out a couple of quick things. I try to not add more than like 3 or 4 minutes to their trip. Right. And sometimes people have said, hey, can you show us more? I'm like, well, of course I can. Yeah. So, I do my own little guerrilla marketing.
That's cool. Well, thank you for that. So you can, if you live in, Sanford is a golf cart community. Part of our city is designated that. So if someone lives in the city, in the golf cart zone, they could actually call you up and get a ride into downtown if they wanted to, and back.
Yes, and we have
for free.
We encourage people to. We don't charge for the service like a taxi or an Uber would. We do encourage people to tip because the drivers do work off of tips.
Right.
And yes, we do have a pretty large, what I would call a regular customer base that comes in. They might not call us every week, but I'm thinking of a couple of guys that live over kind of near where you do, off of Roselia, that probably 3 or 4 times a month call me to come pick them up, take them downtown. They'll hit a couple of bars or restaurants or whatnot, and then come back home.
Because it really is fun. It is a fun driving your car and being in a golf cart, going somewhere to and from an entertainment venue. It's kind of fun. It makes the whole experience, I think, a little better, right?
Well, and it's the difference between riding in a car and walking. someplace. You see much more. You get to interact with people.
Right.
Certainly, as I approach an intersection and with a crosswalk in the downtown area, if there are people there, I usually speak to them. How you doing? Have a great night. That sort of thing. And so you get a little more interaction.
Right.
Some people would be like woohoo, and you get the woohoo people.
Yeah.
So it's a different experience than just getting in your car and driving down.
Okay. And so, Dan, you have advertising, I noticed, on the Ride Line. What's
Yes.
that about?
So that's part of the way we fund all of this, or the main way that we fund all of this, is that we sell advertising on top of the Ride Limes. So we try to get local businesses or anybody that wants to pay us to advertise, we'll be happy to do so.
Right. Okay, and so contact information again. Let's put that out there.
RideLime.com.
Ridelime.
Or we're also on Facebook and Instagram. RideLime on RideLime on Facebook and Ride.Lime on Instagram. You can also reach us by phone or text at 407-500-LIME. That's 407-500-5463.
All right, 407-500-LIME. I like limes, actually.
Yeah.
I always have to have a lime in my refrigerator. It's one of those things. Is it a fruit? It's a fruit, right?
Yes, it is a fruit. And interesting thing, when I moved to Sanford 20 years ago, went to the Colonial Room for lunch, and I had always had a lemon served with my iced tea. At the Colonial Room, they give you a lime. I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool. And Dan, is there anything else you want to add to this? It's been fun. Anything you want to add to the podcast about Ride Lime?
Not that I can think of. Actually, we are doing something special for Christmas. I have a Grinch outfit, and I can drive around, and we're booking tours for the Grinch Christmas tour. We can do a Christmas lights tour, a 30-minute tour, looking at all the Christmas decorations and Christmas lights. We also do I can do a Christmas lights and historical tour.
Okay.
That's an hour-long tour.
Wonderful.
So feel free to contact us through Facebook, Instagram, the 407-500-LIME number.
Okay. Great. Wonderful.
Yes.
So what an added benefit to the city of Sanford and our community. That's really cool. Thanks for your efforts. I mean, everybody who's visited, who's taken the tour, who's gone on your Ride Lime, it's just a whole lot of fun. And it has to do with your personality and who you are, Dan, too. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. It's fun. It's fun to meet everybody.
Yeah, it is. So that's 407-500-LIME if you'd like to text for a ride. And the hours of operation, again, can we repeat that?
Thursday, 5 to 11 p.m., Friday, 5 to midnight, Saturday, 5 to midnight. We'll also operate Saturday and Sunday afternoons, say from about November 1st through March 31st.
Okay. All right.
And always call that number. If you're in doubt, always call. I usually call or text, and if I'm not otherwise obligated, I'll be happy to try to help.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan, for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you for starting this podcast.
Yeah, it's hopefully helpful and a plethora of information for the community. So thank you again. That's Dan Ping on Sanford Says. Thank you so much for being here. This is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer. Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find this on our city website at sanfordfl.gov. Thank you again, and have a great Sanford.